Are we?
All right. So, So, Cappy, we're never going to own homes, apparently.
You're never going to own homes. No. It'll be like a Mother Goose Grimm or a Grimm fairy tale, the story of home ownership. It'll be the new Disney movie coming out. Yeah. And you know it's going to be a fairy tale because the main character will be a minority owns a home. Whoa. I'm sorry.
California is trying to pass a bill where they're giving migrants fresh off the boat new home ownership loans where they can put $150,000 down at the taxpayer's expense.
That's fine. So, that sounds fun.
That's
you guys, Canada?
I don't want to know about. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
I was like, that's like Canada. What are you guys doing?
I don't want to know about California news. It just makes me mad every time.
It's like when the Dutch politics fly overseas. It's like, guys, like, didn't you learn from us? No, not that way. Not that way.
Yeah, but the Dutch are the healthiest people on earth, so they're doing something right.
Yeah,
are they?
Yeah, apparently.
They invented the euthanasia box that they're using now in California.
Yeah, we're getting too healthy.
They're like, oh, you're kind of not healthy. During the Spartan method, they killed everyone that's not perfect health.
Man, Futurama was ahead of its time.
It's the natural progression of abortion. You want to bring it to the 1067th trimester. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's those damn Democrats, and let me tell you about the housing market.
It is those damn Democrats, and let me tell you about the housing market. Yes, Ryan, your political analysis of America is astute.
Yeah. Speaking of political analysis, speaking of owning a home, speaking of euthanasia,
just like the old time.
Speaking of everything, today's topic is. I'm sorry to make it political, guys, but election's close, and wanted to get this one out the way. So all politics are gendered. I think Rollo talked about this a couple years ago, or very recently, but not like too far back. He said that like when you look at the policies that people care about, it's just like you can really divide what people want out of their politicians. And their party out of like their gender. Like it's really easy, but people tend to struggle with this, and it's like it's really simple to see. So there's this chart where it shows like what people care about based on gender, and guys are like, guys are like, I care about the economy and inflation much more than women. I like that makes sense because men were natural providers, but then when you see the abortion a bar, it's like 4 times bigger than every other thing on there. It's almost like comical. Do I believe it? No, I mean, it's just a chart, right? But it's just like guys need to understand like the way women vote is like very pro them, right? And guys need to understand that. So it's not like a shocker where like guys are like making 3-hour videos on this stuff and just like, women are always gonna vote to not have to be tied to average dudes. They've always voted like that. It's literally what feminism is for. So, hey, what's up, Thor?
Morning, you savages. Yep. Here we are, Saturday morning cartoons.
Wonderful. Morning, Thor.
Yeah, morning. Isn't that what you're supposed to do, though? Vote in your own best interest? Like,
you're supposed to be selfish.
Are we voting for the greater good, and that's why we're getting our ass kicked?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's almost like the selfish red pill guys had a point. I'm just
I think Ryan's correct on this one. I mean, definitely in the American context, the bifurcation of the parties is basically the right side of the spectrum is white men and married women, and the left side of the spectrum is everyone else. And it's been trending that direction for the last 60 years. It's just becoming more and more noticeable every election cycle. It's like when you guys see those maps that they come out with every election cycle, it's like if only whites voted, if only white men voted, if only women voted and such. And the only graph that has the whole country being red is if it's white men and white men with married women, and then everyone else, the whole country would be blue.
Yeah.
And the only thing where it's blue entirely, it's single women.
Well, they have the minority, except for Asians. Yeah. But going forward, though, I would even, if you break out, if you want to do the demographic of white women, going forward, as there's less and less marriage, I'd be very curious of the analysis for millennials and younger this election. I'm almost going to guarantee you, unmarried women, regardless of race or anything like that are going to be married to the state. They are going to vote. That's their religion. And that's going to be more pronounced, and it'll be that will be an increasing percentage of those voting as marriage is just going away.
Ooh,
what's that?
You'd like Canadian politics for that, because that's exactly what's happening.
Well,
the
that's
the liberals, the socialists are the young single women.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's Canadian or American politics. I think truly not. Rarely do it's like this, but it's just human nature between men and women. Women absent of men, yeah, they're going to vote for free shit. I'll tell you this. This is how much of an asshole I am. I don't even think women are voting for free shit or necessarily in their own best interests short term. I think they're voting it just to be popular. Because, oh my God, I just so caresies about the children's and the minorities and the whales and the environments. And then really that's because what else do they have? It's not like, oh yeah, I got a family.
No,
I got other people. Yeah, I gotta think of other people. I mean, literally, it's a very singular, individual, hyper individualized. Like it's me, and as long as the electricity is running, and oh yeah, free shit, sure. But I guarantee you, it's really. Have you ever? I don't know if you guys have seen this in the wild. Tell me if you guys have seen this in the wild. I've seen it twice. A middle-aged white woman floating, prancing like a happy deer in the woods to some panhandler on the street. And she'll just like traffic will slow down. She'll jump over the incoming semi and she'll just proudly take her husband's money or whoever the fuck it is and give that person money. Cause Hawk, weren't you just saying that they can't wait to give illegal aliens, housing in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but that it's like seeing a black widow female eat the husband or a praying mantis. Just it's nature. It's just like, I was born on this planet to do this. There you go. Yeah, one of those. And they just it's not thought. It's instinct. It's nature. And so whether it's Canada or United States, if you get too big of a welfare state or you even get too successful, like the economy grows and all that, fuck this, fuck family. I don't need this. I got Daddy Gara. I have the state. And so that becomes their operating system or their modus operandi.
Didn't that come out like a couple of weeks ago when you see men winning the lottery tend to be more family focused, yet women winning the lottery tend to be more self-focused?
Well, you can see that in any kind of spending. Like trophy wives will just go and buy shit. I mean, I know I haven't seen any analysis or study, but if you had to ask me, between men and women who are more materialist, I would say definitely women. Now, whether men are more family focused, I don't know. They might just save and invest. But yes, if I had to put my money down, women would be more materialistic.
I think you're definitely onto something, Cappy, about female nature is going with consensus as opposed to anything else. I mean, we all know if a bunch of people LARPing as mid-century Germans, took over tomorrow, women in droves would start flocking to that side saying, I was racist all along. It's just, yeah.
I hated Nuke this entire time. My God, what a bastard. I
mean, if like a story that's like yours, Cappy. I was crossing the street to go get Chipotle, and we have one homeless dude in this whole big neighborhood, right? Which is not bad, right? For an inner city, southern city like Dallas, not bad. Not complaining. The guy's nice, but he was kind of like following this chick, and the chick turns around and says here and gives him a whole bottle of water, right? Just like the whole thing, just gives him. I'm like, I would never give my water to a homeless dude or anything like that. But girls they just give stuff to like, and then she looks at me like, hey, if this guy keeps following me, you gotta like. She gives me the look, right? Like, hey, this guy's harassing me. You have to do something if he keeps harassing me. And I'm just like, then why'd you give him the water? He's gonna keep harassing you for free stuff now for forever, because every time you cross the street to where he's at, he's gonna be like, there's the chick that gave me free stuff. I better harass her until she gives me another like chips or something or money for crack or something.
Don't feed the wild animals.
Yeah, it's like wild cats. Don't feed them, you know.
Let me give you my general theory here, which is not a theory. It's just this is how it is. For the longest time since we've been alive as humans, there's three entities on this planet. There's women, there's men, and there's nature or reality, whatever you want to call it. Nature wants to kill us both. Starvation, hunger, disease, plague, cold, hot. And we got to go and not only fight it off, but carve a living out of it. We gotta tame nature. We gotta create some housing. We gotta tame the elements. We gotta grow food. We gotta hunt animals. We gotta stave off disease as long as we can. And nature inevitably wins all the time, but we can postpone it, keep it at bay, and try and create a civilization out of it. What has happened, because men were stronger, we're the ones that did most of the carving and the beating and the taming and all that. Now, women did some things back at home, and they did carry their own weight in some other capacities and regards. But men were the shield and the intermediary between the full brutish force of reality and women and the children as well. This is why women and children first. That's gone now. Women have wanted equality. You've had a technology revolution where there's white collar work where women could, if they choose to, support themselves. You throw in democracy on top of it now where we get to vote, and girls like, wouldn't it be nice if we had free shit? And evolutionarily speaking, women don't have the street smarts. I'm sorry, where it's like, don't feed the animals. All right. Or even secondary or tertiary thinking like, hey, if you bring in a bunch of immigrants who don't think like us culturally, there's going to be a huge culture shift. Or, hey, underlying the fundamentals of the economy are starting to decay, like debt. You know, if we have if interest rates go up, the deficit today, it's like, what percent of women actually get underneath a car? Why is the car not working? I don't know. Tee-hee, it just isn't. Some man come fix it. And you could say the economy, society, whatever. The United States are a different economy. Like, hey, there's some serious fundamental issues that need to be fixed here. But since they've never fixed them, they've never really had to worry that men have dented or muted these effects. They're unaware that there's like some badass shit coming along. And so any kind of long-term structural, infrastructural thinking, like Thor, what percent of the linemen that you worked with were women? Have you seen it? I mean, you've been a lineman for 30, 40 years. You ever see it? You're muted, Thor.
Thanks, Cappy, for reminding me. Yeah, almost 40 years this November. And out of that time, I've only known one apprentice lineman that made journeyman. And she really struggled, but she really used her sexuality to get ahead. I'm not going to go too far that she did those things, but she really,
just like Kamala.
She was smart. And so she got a lot of work done through other people, and it allowed her to make a journeyman lineman. And then she moved on to management. So less than 1%.
Right. Okay. So and now we're all shocked that the girls are voting for pie in the sky. And look, and I'm pro-abortion, not pro-choice. I am pro-abortion. Like, if you don't want that kid, get rid of it. You know, like, I don't want it being raised by you. All right. So fine, you can have this one thing, but that you're looking at, and I'm talking, there's no like political philosophy or thought beyond what people have been told K through 12. That's women's nature. They're generally going to be more communal. They're evolutionized not to think, oh, well, if A, B, and C happen, then D, E, and F are going to happen. Holy shit. It's, well, wouldn't it be nice? And if there's a problem, and now you can almost see the role of men being supplanted where, well, if there's a problem, if it was 1950s and there was a problem with something, the man would fix it, or maybe the community or the cop would fix it. Now we need a law, we need a government, we need a regulation, we need this. And so you're just seeing this the split between men and women, where we no longer form families or a community that's being eroded. Now girls are going, well, the only thing left is the state. And so that's what they're going to align with. And I would say, especially younger women and especially single women, regardless of age and regardless of sex, you're going to see that. That's going to be the number one divide you'll see in voting coming this election.
But it's
gender politics is interesting. You know, it's Marxism plays a huge role in it from feminism. It really does, because instead of doing the class warfare that the Marxists did, it's basically the same thing, but it's the genders have different societal roles. So you can segment that. You have an oppressor and an oppressed, and it follows the playbook exactly.
Right.
This keeps people interested. There are more women than there are men. If you're after power, you court that power and you can get what you want. And it's very seductive to offer women who are communitarian, offer them a new family and all of their needs to be met.
Well, feminism is Marxism in a dress. Let's be honest here. That's what it is.
Of course.
And that's always been
equalism, like Rollo says, it really nails it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always been like that. Like, women have the nurturing aspect. And that's what politicians have been doing through the years as soon as women got the vote, is just appeal to that.
Though? Do they?
Well, fair with the abortions and all that. But like in general, they want to be seen as the more nurturing sex.
I was about to say, it's more
very good point.
They want to seem, it's still backstabbing Karen bullshit.
They want
at the
to
end
be
of
the
the
good
day.
monkey. They want to be
This
the
is
good
the most
monkey.
important part of the whole thing, is the scene aspect of it, which again shows you the most important pillar of the state in a mass democracy is the media. And this is why you can never, ever, ever, ever hate journalists enough. They're the worst class of people in our entire society, and all of them should seek Canadian healthcare.
Canadian healthcare and a Dutch machine. Damn it.
Yep. What the media does now is appeal to that want of being seen as nurturing. Like socialism. The guy who thought about that is a brilliant marketer. You're social, right? You care about other people, right? You care about the poor, right? You want to help the downtrodden, lonely people, right? Well, if you vote for us in your name, we're going to help everybody, and you'll be a good person because you voted for me. It's that.
And then they rolled into Berlin and took out half the town
for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Now the other thing that's a part of this as well is back to what I'm talking about, the media, is that ideally in a sane world, most people shouldn't be caring about politics. Most people shouldn't really have a say in how things are governed because everybody's got actual shit going on in their lives. And this is why, historically speaking, you actually had like an aristocracy that actually had the best interests of its people in mind. And those are the people who are in charge and ruling things. This idea now where everybody gets a say and everybody should have a vote in things just means that journos get way more power than they ever should. Corpos get more power than they ever should, because it's just a game about mass psychosis and like MK Ultra shit, as opposed to, actually people having the best interest of their people in heart.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, go ahead, Nuke.
It's not even like party. It's about sometimes policy, right? I'm willing to bet you that one of the reasons we were locked down for so long was because women wanted to be locked down and they wanted to be inside. Like I needed to go out to a refinery to work, and I want my stores and everything to be open. But if you're a chick who works a work from home job all the time and you're cozy, and you use Tinder for when you need sex.
Oh, that's fascinating, Nuke. You were an essential. You were deemed essential.
Do you know?
Yeah, I got the letter.
A lot of the women's jobs I was around was not deemed essential when that went down. Yeah.
Nuke, you're gonna love this. I'll tell you, it'll cheer you right up. In Canada, they had that. All the government workers got work from home, and they were excited as hell. And then eventually it got clawed back to 2 days a week, and there was a big hullabaloo over it. They tried saying back to work 3 days a week, and they had their government union had a boycott. That was the Canadian longshoremen in New York, 3 days a week, and they were calling it like the return of the Austrian painter. Yeah, they wanted to stay home. And the excuse was, I just have to wear a mask if I go to Mountain Equipment Co-op. I can live with that. It was just so funny watching people pretend that they're like caring about lives and Chinese flus.
Yeah. It's like a proxy for caring about humans, and like, no, you just want to stay home and do nothing.
Well, that's the backside. But let me ask you guys this, because Red Hawk brings up a good point. Beforehand, whatever, the aristocracy or the monarchy and those people dealt with it, and everyone had to deal with their own shit, whether it was typically families and all that. What do women have to worry about like right now? What's there? And I don't mean like food, clothing, shelter. What do women have to invest in right now? It sure the fuck ain't families. It's not going to be their 401k or the IRA. It's themselves, but what else is there? And I think Thor would probably go along with this, but I believe every human being, you need to believe in something, a life philosophy, a little bit more of the spiritual side of things, something that guides you politically, philosophically. Why am I here? What am I living for? And for all of human history, that was family and children. Maybe you had religion as well, but even in a secular sense, you had a purpose outside of it. What purpose do women serve today? Except to live for themselves. I mean, one can make the argument for men as well. So men are kind of pursuing more adventuresome guy type like hobbies. But without with all that removed, women really have nothing. And yes, I believe K through college education and marketing has conditioned women, among men as well, to like, oh, socialism and diversity and whatever, UBI, isn't this the environment? Here's your pre-made, pre-scripted, government-approved religion. But even if it wasn't forced on them, I think they'd still go to that. Maybe you'd have, you kind of saw it with The Acolyte, where, okay, there'd be like these witch movies coming out. Oh, we're into Wiccan. We're into like, there's a coven of witches, we're all in HR. They would kind of revert to this anyway, because they need something else. But if it's not going to be family, it's very curious. What would women supplant family with in their lives? And you're kind of seeing it right now. And the only other thing would be government, community, social, especially if it ain't your money that you're using. So it's as Jack said, all feminism is Marxism with tits. But I think there's like a colorful, Rob does tarot card readings, all that shit is going to be their life, and you're going to see it through their voting. So it's not going to be a surprise to me, but it might be a surprise to some how they vote.
It's chick crack on steroids is what it is.
Well, one of the things that's really hard for a lot of people to wrap their brains around, particularly in in Western countries, when we're taught egalitarian, blank slate equalism and all this nonsense, it's really hard for people to get their heads around the fact that most people are NPCs and most people are just natural sheep, and they're always going to follow the person that's in charge. Correct. Which isn't a bad thing. That's just how human beings are wired. It becomes a bad thing when you have a degenerate, horrible elite that actually doesn't look out for the people that they are tasked with caring for. That's when it becomes a huge problem, like we have in our countries now.
I would say not so much, because I think Nietzsche really nailed it, and that it promotes weakness. And weakness is probably the most terrifying, horrifying thing that a society can face, and will actually destroy it over time, but so slowly that it's almost unnoticeable because it's comfortable. His quote was, "Can you trust a weak man?"
Like, what do you mean by that? I'm curious. Like nuts and bolts, though. I'm like, really, because I worry about this because a lot of guys will hear that and they'll just think, "Oh, weakness, it's great," and then they're going to fill it up with whatever hopes and dreams they have. But
I think it's just lack of mental.
That issue. Yeah.
Can we say that? Can we say it's just lack of mental point of origin? Because women, the reason I bring up this topic today is because women's sexual strategy is being codified into law, right? We have abortion, whatever, but men still to this day say, hey, if I do these policies, women as a whole will like me and join my party, right? And they still have this belief that if they keep sacrificing their own kind of like, they keep giving more and more and more of their morality away, not that it matters, that women will eventually like them. And that's like the antithetical to what Rule 0 is. It's just, hey, like, there's a reason this kind of shit where women go on podcasts to talk about, this stuff is making a lot of Trump supporters sweat. It's because they know deep down that women are put themselves first, but men are unable to do that themselves, right? And this election should show you, like, hey, paradoxically enough, if more men voted selfishly, if all of us voted incredibly selfishly, not for your neighbor, not just for you and the people that you care about, then maybe you would have we would get the leaders we want. But that's not how it works, right? So can you really invest in politics emotionally anymore, right? Because men in general are not their mental point of origin, so you really can't invest in this stuff.
I think you have allies, because think of our agency. A woman's primary agency is her sexuality. Men are thirsty. Their primary agency is problem solving. So they hear the women complain about not having enough. The politicians go into what? Problem solving mode. I'll solve your problem. with the background that this will help women. Therefore, I will get more women. I'll fulfill my survival and my procreation needs. So it's pretty vicious that the women know that they can get us to solve these problems and really kind of hurt ourselves and embrace Marxism and feminism.
You know, where I'm rarely optimistic, but you're going to see, I think women have gone down this road so far and so extreme in some extents that you're going to start to see some men buck that trend of being problem solving, actually start for their best interest. And mark my words, black males among people. Now, they're not going to go 50-50 Trump, but you're going to see the highest percentage of black men vote Republican or simply not Democrat, or maybe not show up to vote this election because they've been treated so poorly by their women and by the state. I think they've had enough.
You're onto something.
It's literally how you go viral as a black dude. It's just complain about black women. You go viral like that.
I have to laugh how Donald Trump secured more of the black vote by just appearing in a mugshot than the last 60 years.
Wow.
The last 60 years of Republicans catering to the black demographic.
He's right.
Another question for you guys. Like, I know that a lot of us are naturally conservative, whatever, but do you think it's a good thing that guys are checking out of the voting process? Like, I think Ryan, you said today in your show that for things to be better, they have to be broken first or torn down completely and restarted. Is it?
And we all see it, like at the office. I'm sure everybody here has had a job where you tell your boss, I'm overworked, I don't have the cycles for this. And he's like, okay, I understand. And then he doesn't change anything. And then you lose sleep, and then you work off hours, you work extra, and all he knows is the job's getting done. You don't get a subordinate to help you fix things. They don't change the process. They don't buy that software you needed to get things done until you miss a deadline because you fell sick one day and then you can't work for 3 days. So yeah, and even game development. You guys love games. How many games have been released absolutely broken and they didn't fix it until everybody just stopped playing them, or if it was an online SaaS game, until it was such like a bad glitch that people were just like breaking the game and they were losing memberships. That's when things get fixed. Nobody fixes things that aren't broken. So yeah, and all these guys that are like, I'm not that guy that's a piece of shit, so I'm going to work my best to keep this thing hobbling along. You're actually part of the problem. Like, break it. Let it break. If there's fraud right now in, let's say, I don't know, Canadian immigration, we need 1 million more Indians to come down here until finally, and that's what it took, literally 1 million Indians in a year, until people are like, all right, I need my beach poop free. It's enough.
Oh, it's the foot on the wheel theory. No, foot on the gas theory. You know that one?
Oh, like accelerationism?
Yeah, the accelerationism, where it's like, okay, people want this. You know what? Just vote them in. Vote more for it. Vote more immigration. Vote more global warming.
I tend to reject this this tactic just simply because there were still regime stooges and leftists in the Soviet Union. You still have leftists in South Africa. You still have them in Canada now. You still have them in the United States. You still have them in Germany. This thing that like accelerationism is going to make everybody wake up. I vehemently disagree with it.
Not wake up. Just hurt.
Just
hurt.
Yeah,
because
make them right now.
Here's the thing: like the Indian crime stuff in Canada, once it started affecting wealthy neighborhoods, that's when police started to crack down on it.
Yeah, exactly. When it affects the elites. Yeah, exactly.
Julian Ray brought up a good point in the beginning of the stream. Like, I thought we were supposed to keep politics separate from the red pill. We are. The thing is, like, it's happening around you. So how can you use what's happening around you in your best interest? Like, we're not saying that,
man. Longshoreman. Get me 60% of a raise, and if we get robots, I get to oversee the robots, or I'm just going to smash those as the economy to the ground. And they're like, all right, here's your money. Airline pilots in Canada, same thing. Want a 47% raise, or we quit. And they're like, really? Like, yeah, they got it too. It's like the first two examples I've seen of guys taking advantage of a system that they know is broken, and they're winning. And I'm like happy for them.
You see it. Yeah. You see it happening here too. In my research, I forget one of my books, but
which one of the 12, 13?
Yeah, it's the one where I complain about the Huaman folk.
That one
with the charts. I love the charts.
The one with the charts, right, Ryan? That one. Yeah, that's where since 2002, I believe, the number of young men who have applied for mental disability has gone up 2 or 3 times that of women. I think men are kind of like saying fuck this shit and getting out of it, and at least starting to think differently and taking it like, okay, if this is the system and it's broken, fine, at least I'm going to get a little bit of mine. You're also seeing, you know, we talk about women not being interested in getting married and rise of the she economy. That on the same side of the coin is men backing away from marriage and backing away from families as well. So it's happening. It's going to be a slow glacial process of this accelerationism. But you know, Nuke, like you said, the gal came up to you, like gave you the look like you're going to protect me from this guy. No. I mean, so men are they're backing out.
Bottle. Yeah, he's gonna follow you for every day now because you gave him free stuff. You know?
Right. But now she's like, but you're gonna help me. You're gonna help the damsel in distress. Like, no, and it's slowly coming to. They're slowly starting to realize it. Now, my question is, how stubborn are women's beliefs in their own bullshit and the socialist utopia? No matter how many antidepressants they take, and no matter how miserable they are, I think they'll keep doubling it down until there ain't no food. But you'll see it. We're actually going to put numbers up on the board. You're going to see some numbers manifest through voting. And I don't think, even no matter how bad the deficit is, no matter how bad unemployment is, no matter how much crime has gone up, no matter how much a house costs, you're going to see girls just go down because they really don't know any better. They haven't been taught and trained to think any different. So it's going to have to get real bad to the point, like Ryan, it breaks. It just isn't. There's no food. Like the cop ain't coming to rescue you because there ain't no cops or it ain't no electricity. And we're going to have a big old nice reset button. And then we're going to start all over again.
You know the best video to describe that perfectly, Clary? Remember that one of the guy, I think it was in Minnesota, where his neighbor was nagging and bitching at him. And he finally just said enough. And he went and grabbed a gun and went back and he shot the husband. And the wife was like bitching at him constantly until he finally like put one into her head. I was like, I think that's when you said about, oh, how long are they going to bitch? When are they going to
kept your fucking mouth shut?
Yeah, he literally said that. It was, she just did not get the point that like pissing this guy off, he's going to shoot you. And she still couldn't help herself.
Wait. So I'm confused for the sake of the audience. There's a husband, wife, and they're bothering the neighbor.
Yeah, the neighbor. I don't know what it was. It was something like the volume of the snowblower.
They were shooting their snowblower onto the guy's property. So they're like snowblowing their driveway, and the snow's going on the other guy's property. He's telling him to stop. The wife is getting in the neighbor's face, and the guy goes inside, grabs a carbine, and shoots them both.
So he shoots the husband, and the wife still is. Yeah,
dude,
but Ryan, perfect example.
Last words were bitching at him with the fucking finger in his face. That was it.
That's when you put one in the gut to make him think about it.
He did. But she was still going.
What?
It was like Aaron Terminator. This is a horrific event, and you watch it. It's like it's a murder, but you can't help but laugh at like the black humor of it. She died the way she lived, bitching and nagging.
But think about these are robots. I mean, that's a dedicated. You're not gonna. It's not until
Well, like her whole life has been guys backing down when she, puffs out her chest. Why wouldn't she think that would work for the 7,060th time?
Right. Well, and that gets back to my whole point. Men have kind of shielded women from the harsher aspects of reality, and they wouldn't know. Like, oh, that's a tiger. Maybe you should go indoors. And like, what's that tiger doing on my property? It's they're not going to understand the finer points of central banking monetary policy and how it leads to higher housing costs. So I can totally.
Get you on TikTok too. There's a trend for this. There's this guy. His theme is like white women don't give a shit, and it's just videos of women walking up to like feral animals, like, oh, it's adorable. It's a honey badger, and he's like, look at white women don't give a shit.
They raise pit bulls, and they treat them like little princesses. They put little bows on like the most dangerous dog breed. Now I'm like, I wouldn't ever adopt a pit bull. I don't want it to eat my face when I'm half asleep or something.
Oh yeah, women getting in dog pit bulls' faces, poking them in the eye and stuff, and he's just like, what the?
White women don't give a shit.
He's got hundreds of these.
All this conversation has maybe once again
want to date Latinas?
No, why does everyone think democracy is a good thing? Let's just give everyone the vote. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, but like Ryan, you mentioned something during your show about the what was it again? The Tourette syndrome.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
no-
and school shooting or video games cause school shootings doesn't apply, but girls getting Tourette's from TikTok does.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that because you do see a lot of politicians like buying TikTokers and like Taylor Swift and things like that. And people would wonder, like, why do politicians even bother with that? Which comes back to your Tourette's point. Who consume the most social media? Women. Yep.
Chicks.
Who are influenced the most by social media?
Again, it's just consensus building, mass media.
Exactly. And like Ryan pointed out, like, hey, all of a sudden, since Tourette's became a thing, Tourette's in women skyrocketed. Like,
Yeah, that popular influencer had
really know
Tourette's, and
this.
that was like
Okay.
the big thing. And then all of a sudden, doctors noticed this like 1,000% increase in young women with Tourette's, and they were like, "Is it the groundwater? Is it the frogs are gay?" And then they found out they were just hooked on this TikTok chick who had Tourette's, and they wanted to be popular.
It's the same thing with people coming out as troons. Same
Oh,
exact
yeah.
thing.
it's wiggers for the millennials.
So then what? We should come up with TikTok. Well, I mean, they already kind of try
No.
with the concern. What?
It's a phenomenon where it's like, yeah, that's what's happening. That's why they're doing it. Things like that. Like the whole Taylor Swift thing. Yeah, that might even, I mean, Hawk, I don't want to be a doom pillar here, but that might just swing the election for Kamala.
No, it's not. No matter how hard they try, Taylor Swift code's right wing. No matter how hard they try, not possible.
All right, let's
I
get
don't think
this
any of that
super
stuff
chat.
matters. I don't think it does. I think either the reforged election or whatever they call it, or Trump's just going to win because they count the votes. Either way, the rest of this is just theater to make money.
Oh
in my
yeah, I
opinion.
mean, elections aren't elections anymore. They're ballot harvesting opportunities,
but
and
it
it's
just should-
basically which side harvests more ballots and which side has more elite backing than the other side. Which,
And if you watch,
quite frankly,
Matt
I'm all
Walsh's
for.
movie or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it
fuck that
just
guy.
shows you how influential, how easily influenced women are by all
Well, it's
that
men
social
too.
media.
I don't want. I mean,
Go ahead.
Yeah,
far
men are
far be it
influenced
from
too,
me
yeah.
to, far be it from me to throw a bone to the women here. But again, it's men too. There's this amazing tweet. It belongs in a meme museum. When we win, there's going to be a museum for tweets and memes. The guy's name is Kofefe Annan. He has this amazing tweet. He says, "If you think women are the main political issue, you're not misogynistic enough." And I think that's 100% true.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Well,
Let me get the super chat real quick, guys. So PI with the 199 says, "Been watching OGC. Love to join." What's OGC?
Hey, there we go. We got a fan of mine.
Old Glory
in the
Club.
audience. There we go.
Oh, Glory
Yeah.
Club. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Shows are
Well,
on
thanks, man.
Thursdays, Substacks Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And then we got this one, Danny Arlo with 199. Thank you, sir. Let them have $750. Merry internet. All right. So yeah, keep going. Talk.
Well, what I was going to say is, you could. I know I've been pretty harsh on women, where it's just kind of like they're this massive
let's talk about
NPCs.
guys.
What?
Let's talk about guys, because that's what I'm interested in. Okay,
That's what I was going to say.
We
Is,
know,
is
Duke. We know you're interested in guys.
women
How's
women
Paul
are
been?
women are easily manipulated by media, TikTok trends, and all that other stuff. But men are just as equally influenced by women. I mean, how did that woman get to the point that the husband never told her to shut the fuck up? Like the guy
Exactly.
tolerated because she had pussy. And if you want, Nuke, can you pull up that tweet I sent out by Rich Cooper? I put it in the private chat. The number of guys that like quote unquote the male feminist, but it kowtows in other ways. But guys will be like, okay, yes, dear, whatever, dear. Like even if it's against their best interest, just because they're addicted to pussy. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys are like that? It's your Democrat males that are like that. And maybe deep down inside, like, this is kind of weird. God, I got to pay a lot. But they don't care because I got my woman. I got my girlfriend. I got my wife.
I don't even think it's simping for sex. I think it's fear of abandonment.
Okay.
Because the girls are largely like browbeat them. They don't fuck them a lot, but they do like threaten to remove the validation. Like, mom's going to leave. I think that's what terrifies those kind of guys.
And the threat of divorce. There's another, there's other, but the abandonment, women removing themselves from a man's life, that would be the big threat. I could totally see that. Yes, absolutely. Sex or their presence.
Because why else would you stay with a chick that browbeats you all day? It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. You're not getting off. She doesn't sleep with you because she doesn't respect you. All that's left is just, Mom, don't leave. I'll starve. Please.
Emotional dependence, I guess, on a woman.
They kind of have a point, don't they? When they talk about men need to grow up and whatever, it's just like we take the wrong, like the guys who are grown up and don't want to put up with their shit don't like that message, but the ones who need to hear it are cheering them on. Yeah, yell at those guys that stole my girlfriend.
Yeah, I think
it's like every.
I think a lot of every. Go ahead, finish your thought, Ryan.
No. It's not a good one anyway.
I think that going forward, whether you vote or not, that's your problem. That's your life. No one cares, right? No one cares what political party you're in. No one really cares, right? Obviously, you vote for who you want to and all that stuff, but deep down, realize that you need to understand the why, right? Why is it that women care so much about abortion, right? Obviously, they don't want to be tied to average men. So it helps paint a picture about playing for keeps and how, there's men and women that are selfish and they're voting for their own best interests, right? So take that kind of like thought process and apply it to everything, not only your politics, but to your health. Like, hey, I'm going to the gym. I'm not going to your sister's house this morning. I'm going to the gym because I want to get in shape. Or, hey, I'm not doing this. And, you could see guys' like personal life and problems with women permeate through the way they think about politics. Like that guy I pulled up earlier, where he's like, hey, you're supposed to vote because it's your fucking job. And I'm like, it's not anyone's job to vote. It's literally a choice, right? Why are you making compulsory that I participate in something? And I think that's the important thing here. Like, take this as a lesson that while there's so many people playing for keeps, there's the longshoremen people, there's, Kamala Harris is literally gonna go on a podcast and say, hey, ladies, I'll give you free abortions forever as long as you vote for me. And women, they don't know what's best for them, but in their mind, they're just like, hey, yeah, this is healthcare. This is what I'm supposed to have. And men are just like, no, we have to fight and we have to not, but they're too afraid to make the death penalty for women that, kill babies, right? So it boils down to this self-sacrificial mindset that conservatives have. And it's just like, you're never going to win back a country by selling this horrible ideology to young men. And I think that's why they don't like the red pill, is because we tell guys, hey, put yourself first. And who the fuck knows what's on the other side of that? A lot of people are scared. Like, that means that the country will fail. What do you mean? If I go to work, I don't want to go to jail, so I'm going to pay my taxes and I'm not going to do crime. That's me putting myself first. I'm going to go work and do a good job because I want to. And if I want a wife because I want to, I'll go get a wife. It's all down to me, not because conservative influencer 42069 said this is the path to a better country. And that's the kind of part they hate, and I just wanted to convey that today with the topic.
Well, what you're I think we're confusing kind of two things. There's self-interest and the interest of the country. Now, based historically on how things were, it was a nation of individuals and family, and the family took care of themselves. And if you voted in your best interest, imagine if everyone just took care of themselves and supported themselves, we'd be fine. We wouldn't need a welfare state or anything like that. But I think, especially nowadays, after 60 years of a welfare state, broken families and homes, starting with the boomers and all that, a lot of young men, they're not trained in Austrian economics or libertarianism. They say, well, what's in my best interest? Stimmy checks. So I think you're seeing two very distinct groups within men, almost apolitical. They just vote, well, I need disability, or I need my Adderall, I have a mental disorder, and then I need some EBT cards. Well, in my best interest, literally, is going to vote for the Democrat Party because they give me free shit now, at least in the short term. I think the red pill, not to say that we pick a side, but we are about responsibility, self-supportation, individuality, and your long-term best interests. What's in it for you? That happens to correlate a little bit more. And you're right, Nuke. I think going with old school conservative Republican values, that has a whole bunch of Matt Walsh-induced landmines associated with it.
But
at
Walsh,
least
our favorite person.
Well, no, I like Matt. I just disagree with him on one thing. But if you're looking at, there's your choices in your individual life that you should be making that are apolitical, but they're generally, I'm going to say, going to be aligned with the libertarian political ideology. And then if you actually care about your future, you would be voting, if you thought about it, you'd be voting along conservative libertarian not Democrat lines because there's generally lower taxes. In theory, this is all in theory, more balanced budgets, things like that, more responsibility. I don't think most young men get to that point right now. I think a lot of them are apathetic. A lot of them aren't going to vote. They can't find jobs. They all have to go to college. They're very destitute in a bad situation. They can't afford housing. So I see a lot of them, without them thinking about the long-term underlying causes of the problems that younger generations face, they're going to go probably Democrat or not vote. It's not until you get a little bit more thought are you going to see men say, wait a minute, this is a little bit more of a complex situation than normal. And you say, well, wait, if I'm going to be pursuing my best interests and pursuing excellence, it seems to me that I really, why would I pay a third of my money to the government to make other people happy? And I think that might be the tipping point where you might see men go from one to the other. But I could definitely see if you are a product of the public school system in the United States in broken homes, you don't think beyond, chicken tendies by an EBT card that I could put in my armpits and get free Adderall. So I think it's a little bit more of a growing and maturing until you get a little bit older. You start to do a little more political analysis that long term would be of benefit to your life.
I think like ultimately, like I see what you're saying, Cappy. There is a gray area where it's like I will always put myself first, and that tends to make the decisions I make tend to benefit a lot of people because I put myself first. That's one of the most important things of the red pill. It's just like, hey, a lot of people think if I put myself first, then I'll be selfish and hurt people or whatever. But the reality is that putting myself first has brought me more opportunities for relationships and opportunities for jobs and all that stuff. And the thing is, yes, there's going to be lazy people that for them putting themselves first is voting in for free shit that eventually I have to pay for and we have to pay for. But the thing is,
I mean, we don't though.
As much
we just print more.
Yeah, exactly. As much as that sounds unfair, I would never trade this life for that mindset. I am glad that I am who I am and I think the way I am, because imagine being someone like that, addicted to pills or whatever. Like, I know that it's not fair, but they have to deal with their own fate. And it's just,
you can't save the world.
You see what I'm saying, Cappy? Like,
dude, I'll tell you a story of exactly. I saw that 2 days ago. I had to catch the bus because I like taking the bus. I think it's fun, except for the last transfer where it ain't fun. And it was like 9 a.m. and I get on the southbound bus to the airport, and I'm looking, and I'm one of 3 white guys on the bus, and the 2 white guys are old dudes talking to themselves. Aside from 2 young black dudes who had a uniform on, they were going to work somewhere. One was going to the airport to work. The other had I think, security uniform. I'm looking at everyone else on that bus, and these people did not choose individuality. I'm not saying they're Republican, Democrat. That's not what it is. But where you said, I like the path I've chosen, that's because you are sentient. You acknowledge you are here, and you are not going to let your life waste away. Now, going down that path means you're going to go down a particular set of political philosophies. The rest of these people, oh God, nuke, it's a nightmare. The lives they've lived, and these people are all like 50, 60, 70 years old, and you could just see them like they're dead. Their lives are like, I'm going to get on this bus to the transfer to the next bus, and then I'm going to get off and then go hang out with my friends and get drunk or do pot or something. Like, none of them had lives, and their entire lives were wasted. Now, this isn't a commercial for, if you vote Republican, you're not going to be some sad sack of shit 55-year-old who can only afford the $3 bus ride. But it is a statement and a decision between, am I going to affect my life? Am I going to live my life? Or am I just going to be kept, essentially, am I going to be kept alive on life support through government gimme-dats and food and shelter and all that, and suffer this miserable existence or not? And so I think every young man, and I'm going to focus on men because they tend to take agency and responsibility a little bit more, but women can too. You do have a choice, and it's not fine. It might affect how you vote, but how you vote is not going to affect your life. You need to make a choice as to whether you're actually going to live your fucking life and pursue excellence and have one before you die, or you're just going to merely exist, go the easy mode, and there's plenty of white Karens and minority Karens that will vote for free food, clothing, and shelter for you to keep you alive, but yet you'd be only alive to be tortured and miserable your entire life. And so I think a more important lesson for young men and women, if you care to take responsibility, is what kind of life do you want to live? It's not you should be voting for this or you should be voting for that. As it pertains to your individual happiness and success in life, what individual choices are you going to make in life? Are you going to be an agent or are you going to be a life-supported Democrat voting object? And the difference is you have a life that was worth living and one that frankly wasn't. And I think down the road, then you can worry about, okay, what does that mean? How I vote politically, what kind of policies that is. But until you establish that personal life philosophy, you're not going to be able to figure out which way to vote. It's not going to be an issue to you.
Yeah, it's like that whisper quote that says, hey, never waste time asking the question of how well you're doing. Mirrors are for people without a distant horizon to focus on. Only ask yourself what you want and plan how you're going to get it. And the thing is, again, always putting myself first. Here's the thing that happens. You forget about people that like that. That's the hard part. Like it's almost like your politics become so unimportant to you because you're like, yeah, I'm going to go vote, whatever. But then I'm getting what I want. This guy is getting what he wants. He wants drugs and I'm getting good money, family, love, whatever you want. Right. And I'm just like, okay, is this the win condition? Right. Is this the win condition for my life? And I'm like, yes. And then there's people online screaming at me that, Taylor Swift is going to convince all these women to vote for Kamala. And I'm just like, I think I can figure it out if Kamala gets elected. I think I'll be fine.
Well, that's a very important point. That's a very important point. Look, we have our vote. That's it. That's all the control we have over this election. The question really is, okay, you as an individual, can you react to a world? Can you survive and thrive in a world where Kamala is president? I mean, right now,
a lot of people do.
I like Ryan's version of that quote a lot more. Why is a stupid fucking question? What is what you want to ask?
Yeah,
it's an old one, but it's an old one, but it checks out.
Yeah, you guys are totally right for most everybody. Kind of like how we say you shouldn't be a red pill masturbator in the sense of you get what you need and you get out of the space. It was never meant to be a place to hang your hat. It's the same thing with the political realm, except for a very, very limited number of people. Just get in, figure out what your ideas are, vote every election cycle, and then don't really concern yourself with the mundane nonsense that's going on in the news every single day. Because most of the shit that they get you all riled up on, like Tim Pool, the next civil war is coming tomorrow. It's all bullshit.
Here's a very simple poll you can do. Do you know anyone who's very involved in politics that's happy? And I would even further go and point out, do you know any Democrats that are happy? I mean, they're winning. They got all the fucking welfare in the world and this and that. None of them are happy.
I mean, Hawk seems pretty content. He's busy with politics.
Who is?
Hawk.
Yeah, well,
okay. I mean, but
limited case.
I'm saying generally speaking, I'm trying to show the audience that the success of your life, I want to use the right words, Jack. The success, look at Jack. Here's a perfect. Jack is not a socialist. He's piss poor. He barely gets his peen touch. Look how happy he is. See, he doesn't let politics bother him. He's having look at Ryan Stone. He's always got that knowing better than you smirk, and he lives in a fucking socialist shithole with a kid diddling, nice hair wearing prime minister or whatever the hell he is, but he's still happy.
They're eating the cats.
In fairness, it's an Indian shithole, not a socialist shithole.
Okay. But the point to be taken from this is we're not making the rules. Yes, go ahead, vote. I would say it's a responsibility, a duty you have to inform yourself and vote the right way so that the economy and society can operate long-term and functionally, and everybody can benefit and standards of living go up. But after you cast your vote, fuck this shit, man. And generally, you're going to be happier supporting yourself, not choosing the easy path, but striking out on doing what's in your own long-term, not short-term, long-term best interest, That's what's going to make you happier. Down the road, a political philosophy will form from that, but you will be happier. You will have a better life than pretty much all people participating in politics. And I would say the vast majority of Democrats and leftists.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. You're actually right. Here's how sad a lot of the political wonks are. When it's not an election year, what are they doing? They're in the fucking manosphere arguing with us.
Our president just stepped down.
Red Hawk's actually made it. And what's he doing? On a podcast with us. The political guys have to be miserable if they're looking up to us in an off election year.
Oh, man.
Whammon, am I right?
Andrew Wilson enters the chat.
Oh,
The
no.
only, I'll be honest. The only person I see who's genuinely happy, who's a politician and a woman, is Kamala Harris, because she can't believe she might be president. Like, you could just see it. Like, she's like, holy shit, this might actually happen. And then she'll become president and she'll realize, wow, this fucking sucks. But yet, aside from that, no one's happy in politics. No one's happy collecting a government check and not living their
ladies,
life.
you too could potentially be a future president of the United States. All you have to do is suck 20 dicks.
Can you imagine if she just sucked her husband's dick 20 times, how much happier she'd be?
That's true.
Have you met her husband? Isn't he like weird?
Yeah.
So isn't he the one from the Rich Cooper thing with the jaw?
He's one of those.
What a beginner.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's
Rich
one of
Cooper
those.
thing with the jaw?
Well, yeah.
Women
like
were
a
told
Simpsons
to
jaw.
be anything.
He's a weak little baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up.
What?
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. She's wine drunk all the time anyway. That's why she giggles like that.
Yeah.
Have you never seen, like, go to a Sanka set sometime in like 5 o'clock in the financial district? There's Kamala Harris's everywhere in every country, man.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny? If she does get elected, which I think she actually will get elected, I can't wait. Even though they're going to be agitating, it's going to be a fascinating world to see a Karen elected and a Karen administration. And the celebration women are going to go through communally in the world, but especially in the United States, only to be miserable at the end of the day. Like, okay, think about it. Yay, the night Kamala wins and all the women are celebrating and the news articles and all that. Fast forward a week, it's gonna be like graduating from college. Like, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I finally did it. And then a week later, there she is with her wine and still no job and nothing's changed and you're still not. Like, the number of women who are going to be pissed off that they aren't happy that a woman is president. Like, they all of a sudden, this person got elected, but I'm still miserable. It's
But
like,
Cappy, did you see that? There's now like all these Playboy models coming out and they're homeless.
Yeah, Claire,
Right.
you know what's going to make you the happiest guy ever after the Kamala
when
Harris victory?
antidepressant use goes up after President Kamala is like, no, what?
The person that's going to be the most miserable after Kamala gets in in the election is Hillary Clinton, and I can see you. That's going to get you through the next 4 years.
You know, it's going to be really fun on
I
January.
will
20th.
masturbate to that daily.
It's going to be great on January 20th when Donald Trump, the most misogynistic president in history, walks up and gets to go 2-0 against female candidates.
But dude,
see,
that'll be funny too. That will be
in
funny.
a sense, though, that's going to give the feminists and women and girl bosses, that's going to give them purpose and meaning. Like, I almost want to see Kamala win. Like, here it is, president of the fucking United States. All right,
That's what I'm saying. Put the foot on the gas.
and just you got what you wanted. Here it is. And then 5 days later, you're still a miserable funkin' kuwanta ha. You know
what
what
we're going to be doing? You know what we're going to be doing?
Yeah,
We're going to be playing video games and hang out and be cool and be happy.
I'm still going to go hike. You're going to be sitting there looking at your wine. I still haven't got Ryan Gosling as a husband. I'm still a miserable fucking middle-aged spinster quant. But they won't say it. It's like, and then they got to cheer for President Kamala. Oh my God, did you know that? Like, okay, let me ask you this. How miserable, while the woman was alive, how miserable was any woman with a Ruth Bader Ginsburg bumper sticker? Like, God, come on.
Yeah.
I can't wish a worse life upon people than that.
She died on the thing, right? On the seat.
Yeah.
Was it?
You're now telling me this for the first time. I'm just hearing it now.
Oh yeah, the whole Donald Trump. That meme was my best. That was my favorite Donald Trump moment.
Shut
He looks
up,
so
silly
good.
woman. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Shut up, silly woman.
Silly woman.
The speech about the birds and the windmills, that was like poetry. I was like, holy fuck.
My favorite one will always be when he has that press conference and it's like, I haven't seen the models. I didn't do anything with the models. I never worked with models. Well, not these models. And he just stands there with a smirk of like, you know,
election night is going to be so fun at the OGC. We're doing a whole montage of all like the best Trump memes and moments. It's going to be so much fun.
Oh, the 2016 primaries. I think that was peak. Shut up, Jeb. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Low energy Jeb.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, this is the jail. I enjoy it. The memes, it's like, take it for what it is, right? Like, obviously they're going to be in charge of some level of policy, but reality is fun. Like, just have fun with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of good memes. The memes are going to be all the accounts we hate are going to be celebrating it and leave us alone for a couple months, right? While they're celebrating, and then once nothing really changes that much, they're going to come back and be like, "You red pill guys are degenerates." We're going to be like, "Where have you been? Like, are numbers low? Like, what?
Get a drink. Sit down.
How you doing? Come on in. Yeah.
You gonna argue with us again? Or you come on down, have a seat.
Yeah, you guys. Let me ask you guys this. I got to ask you guys. It's happened several times. Typically, science fiction. Have you ever seen it where it's usually a war type of movie and say, okay, we got to get to the rally point. This is where if plan A failed, we're going to rally at point B, and all the armor and the equipment, and then the counterattack starts there. And they finally get there and they find out the rally point's been destroyed. And then they're like, all hope is destroyed and lost. That's what's going to happen with the Camel of Victory. They're like, oh, we finally got it. Now let's go to rally point B. And when this reality manifests that nothing has changed, and that in their stomach, in their soul, because I'm going to say it again, what's going to give women happiness? Well, okay, what's going to give women purpose, meaning, and ultimately contentment and happiness is to find a man to fall in love with and have children, be a stay-at-home mom. I'm going to say that. But when that hole in their stomach is still there, despite a Camel of Victory, and they find out that the rally point is just desolate, they'll never admit it in public. They'll never admit. They still got to act and maintain the girl boss. That's going to be it. I don't know. That's a horrible situation to be in.
The problem is, Cappy, is that it's not just that they'll never admit it in public, is that they will never even have the capacity to have the introspection in the first place.
That's even better. That's you know what? And that results in insanity, because that doesn't mean the feeling's going to go away. That does. Look, ladies, let me tell you something. All women within my voice, listen to me. A Camel of Victory will not fill that gaping hole in your stomach. It will not. Good
dick will.
Well, you said they don't require it. You said that they're not capable of introspection, which makes it even worse, because the pain will still be there and they still won't know why.
Well, it
will continue on.
But they won't even conceptualize in that way. Like, it's bad for you looking at these people because you have the high IQ and the capability of introspection to realize the consequence of actions and that have the capacity of thinking into the future or thinking into the past. Like, most people are dumb as rocks and they can't even do that. That's
They're like cats.
Well, I mean, you
ever tried to punish a cat for shitting on the floor? They get mad at you and they don't know why you're hitting them.
And they shit again.
Yeah. But no, I've talked to like boomer Canadians. They still think they're fighting Brian Mulroney and it's 1987. I bet you anything American boomer feminist types are looking at this like, fuck that Ronald Reagan. And it's like, Reagan's been dead for what, 20 years? And they're living in this past. 30. Yeah, as much as you see guys talk like living in the past, like the 1950s thing, the feminist broads, the Democrat broads, they're likely doing the same thing. They just have this evil dad figure from their childhood. They're still ranting about evangelical fundamentalists. Like, when the fuck have they been relevant? Not since like the 2003. Everybody who they can blame now is almost dead.
Could we say that, like, generally speaking, since we're doing a political analysis between men and women, men's happiness is not anchored in politics, but a lot of women's today are? Like, isn't that kind of like they think, just like we told them, yeah, you need a master's degree, you need a girl boss, you need a career, you need to work, you need to do this, and your happiness is also whether or not the Democrat, or in your place the NDP or whoever the fuck is up there.
Clary, does your girl watch Love Is Blind?
No. What's that?
Dude, It's a reality show. They basically like you don't get to see your partner and you have to get married. And it's like a bunch of 35-year-old girl bosses nailing like 25-year-old men, and then it's just a shit show. But this season is different that way. They spent the first like episode, chicks were bitching about Trump as part of like the man they're trying to marry. They can't even see the guy. They're just like, I can't believe it. January 6th, am I right? I'm like, did reality TV jump the shark? They're supposed to be talking about the magical princess fantasies and what do you do for a living? And now they're like, Republicans. I used to be a Marine. I joined the Ukraine war. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, okay, but there's so their happiness.
The audience is eating this shit up.
So women's happiness is contingent on who's in office. Women's happiness is contingent.
It's contingent on who tells them what they should be happy about.
Well, yes, but as
ideally that would be a husband that they love and respect. But most women are never going to get that. So it's going to be whatever the flavor of consumerism or politics or whatever it is that the media decides to. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Whatever
all right.
Women don't watch porn, so they're going to watch chicks talk about the Ukraine war veteran that they're trying to date.
Okay, so that might be what it is in the future, but as it is right now, they're happy. They're being told their happiness is dependent upon whether or not Trump gets elected or not. Like they're going to be miserable if Trump gets elected. They're going to be, quote, happy if Kamala gets elected. And then I don't know where you go from there, but it should show you the fleeting and temporary and unsustainable nature of happiness that women have been conditioned to have in this country. And I'd say men too. I mean, they try and tell men this too, but I think men are maybe a little bit more introspective, or plus you have the red pill saying, no, there's more to life than that. But it still makes my point that they're not going to be happy no matter what, certainly not long term.
Mm-hmm. And both parties benefit women because women wouldn't allow any party to not benefit them in some way, especially now. So it's like, you know, conservatives, you know, the longhouse where, you know, you have to stop fucking because you got to save the country by not having so much sex and get married as a virgin and all that stuff. And then the liberal side is like, you have to fuck a lot because, you know, why not? You're a woman and you're strong. So it's like both a woman can choose a party based on her own habits and all that stuff. And, you know, it's just both sides of the aisle are like female, you know, they have to check in with the female imperative. The thing is that the liberal side tends to not do as much. They don't have that hamster wheel that the conservative women do, where it's like a conservative woman would be like, hey, you know, I'm a single mom and I got around, but you guys that are like young, you cannot have sex because that's bad, right?
Well, yeah, it's because conservative women are older. It's the find out part of the fuck around.
And that answers your question, Clary, where it's like, women will never be happy, but they're going to migrate to whatever ideology, institution, whatever benefits them in that moment. And that's the big thing here. When Kamala gets elected, in the moment, they're going to be like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to have easier access to female healthcare, right? But like 10 years from now, when they're old and maybe, you know, they get some conservacuck to get married, right? They're going to look back and see all the hot chicks having fun. And they're going to be like, you know, finger wagging because, hey, you got to be conservative. And it literally, like, we see it on the timeline every day on Twitter where women are just constantly like, they even fight each other, right? You'll have conservative influencer A say, you're a slut. And they want to be like, well, you're boring and your husband doesn't really love you. And then they go back and forth. And that's like literally every day on the timeline. I'm like, women will never be happy because they it's always in the moment. Whatever benefits them in the moment, they'll do. And if today they're going to be liberal and fuck a lot and do whatever they want and have us pay for it, and they're going to do that. And then 10 years from now, when they can no longer do that because they're old, they're going to be like, well, you young ladies need to change because you're making me feel bad. So
what's that girl's name again? Isabella? They're going to be like Isabella. Like that.
The Pat Stedman chick, the one that had to go for stealing the podium or whatever.
Yeah, that
King
was.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course, she didn't. Of course, she didn't spend any jail time, but but it's like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about like her politics not mattering. This is like the end state of all this stuff. It's like if you do your job and you got some frame, the chick is just going to agree with you. It's like why do you care?
Yeah. Oh, what was that? Ryan, you even mentioned that. The guy on Patreon where it's like, I went on this date and this girl was wrong and I knew she was wrong and I was right. And she was
wrong, of course.
Yeah.
She was talking politics and it's like, dude.
Arguing with a woman is already effeminate behavior to begin with.
It's like whatever her politics are, you pat them on the head. It's like, that's cute, dear. What's your political opinion? What are politics?
Well, it's just like treat your shit as a gift. If you have a strong political, well thought out opinion, you spent a lot of work and a lot of effort in it, you're giving it to some chick that you haven't even slept with yet. Like, how cheap are you, man whore?
You want this barely worked, but it worked in one way in that it immediately muted any political disagreements I would have with a girl that I'm dating, but it was also fun and flirtatious. If for whatever reason you find yourself in a political discussion with a girl and she has her standard NPC given to her, not researching, and you know you're right and you can prove it wrong through whatever data or charts, I like my charts. You say, I bet you, huh? Well,
bring your 50%.
Don't bring no. Don't bring CDs to a date with a laptop for charts. Okay, just say I've done that.
You're a dump drive. Hey, here's what.
What you can do is you could just basically say, like, you know what? I bet you coming over to my house in a French maid outfit, cleaning my place, you're wrong on that. Ooh. It's immediate fun. It adds flirtation and fun. But it makes him put up or shut up. It makes him like, oh shit, I just can't spout bullshit I heard from The View. This guy might know his shit, but he signaled sexual interest. It also shows that you don't really care that much about politics, about being fun and flirtatious. But it's just a little, especially for you young boys out there, because there isn't a young woman today that isn't a fucking leftist. So you're gonna have to come up with tactics and techniques.
Did she show up in the maid's outfit?
I only had one gal do that, but we were already kind of having sex anyway. So
still, she wore it.
Yeah, but
she wore it?
Hey! Whoa! Look who's learning the English language over there with the country invaded twice by Germany.
I want to get so Thor, you've been kind of silent. I want to get your take on this, right? So you live in the closest version of like a completely commified United States, right? You're in California, beautiful state, love it. It was nice seeing you there and seeing it again. Yeah. So as a person that's already seeing what Kamala Harris America is, how has life changed for you throughout the years? What strategies have you done to take advantage of a feminized political system in California? And I know we talked about this when I went and visited you.
Sure. You kind of got to stay camouflaged. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. That's for sure. Too many regulators, too much city involvement, things like that. And you've got to look for opportunities when you're doing things for yourself. You kind of got to plan around what the state or what the schools or what the regulators or what utilities are going to do, because they're all pretty communist out here. And then when it comes to social activities, you really, I don't bring up politics too much. I let other people do it. And don't say much, and they start buddying up to you. They don't even know what you think, It's interesting. A few years ago, I went to I'll just put it this way. I've told the story before. California is a little bit hopeless when it comes to voting, but a lot of people really believe in it. I was at a very large event, which was an event of wealthy men, and one of them was a Chinese immigrant who made his living getting assets out of China. And one of the other guys who was very wealthy had made the comments about, well, at least we're not communists. This guy laughed and told him to F off. And you've been communist in California for 25 years. Then he proceeded to have a conversation about how the party had infiltrated a lot of funding for the universities in order to raise women and men to go into the system, such as the judiciary system, the academic system, corporate system, with philosophies that aligned with the Chinese Communist Party. And they've done it for 25 years. You actually can name those institutions. Some of them are like the Confucius Institute, the Thousand Talents Program, still funded today. And then as they were arguing about the elections, the guy pulls out pictures of stacks and stacks of envelopes and ballots marked California, and proceeded to educate us, since we had motor voter out here. Instead of verifying that the actual voter is a qualified voter, they only look at the address as being registered at one time as a place that could vote. So what that means is you can have one residence with 100 votes going out of it, and the only thing they're looking for is a signature of any kind, and that the address matches a address that had been registered once before. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So in California, we don't really have a system that changes. Just the names of those in charge are changed. I was once on the Republican Central Committee many years ago, and they meet regularly with the Democrats and plan strategy, have strategy meetings. And they're kind of hidden at the golf courses, business meetings. So to live in a place like that, like California, you have to kind of be the gray man, go around it, find loopholes if you want to be successful here, and then reach outside. I did want to leave the state because of all of this, but because of family and businesses, I was not able to do so. And now due to medical care for my wife, I'm not able to do that. So being the gray man for me is really important and not causing too many waves. That's how you live here. And you look outside of politics for your fulfillment. I mean, this thing can consume you if you start looking at it. It's very depressing, actually. So try not to look at it.
You guys are so Canada, man. 11 of our MPs, CSIS, actually, our NSA actually came out and said 11 of our MPs are being paid by the Communist Chinese Party to affect policy. They own over 50% stake in like 80% of the media on the West Coast.
Jesus
Canada's
Christ.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Everybody is like, oh no, we can't talk about it because it's classified.
Hey, respect. They're playing the long game, and they have here in California, and you can tell.
Yeah, so a lot of this like bitching about the feminists and women, it's like I kind of agree. I've been seeing this take lately. A lot of people are noticing all this DEI stuff is really Chinese funded.
Yep.
And it's like if you were trying to destroy your competition, what better way could you think of than paying women to ruin it for you?
Or just weaken them.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's read these
police stations. There's Chinese police stations here. CCP officers, they have their own ones. Yeah, the RCMP was like, dude, they're running their own police stations here. And they like take people, they bring them back to China and shit like that. It's just insane.
So Ryan, let me give you an example.
Yeah, why argue politics?
I work in a place where they don't have the police officers, but they had code enforcement officers that were Chinese. And this was in an area of California where they call it sometimes Little China. It's not that bad, but I'm in a suburban area. And they have their trash cans. And these guys go around on trash day, these code enforcements, and they write tickets for hundreds of dollars if your trash can is more than 9 inches from the curb and more than 4 feet from the driveway.
Wait, so are these bylaw officers or?
Yeah, they're like, they're not really police, but they enforce codes. And one of the codes is you have to have your trash cans out on a certain day and they have to be within a certain area of the driveway. I'm not lying. And if they're outside of that, like on a sidewalk or outside of that little box that they're all supposed to be in, those people get fined. And it's a huge fine.
So that's not an American thing, because we have that all over here. That's just bylaw enforcement. That's a municipal thing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I accidentally put my trash can a foot outside of the place it's supposed to be. I will get fined because they patrol for this.
Yeah,
to me, that's pretty wild.
It's so weird. You're describing something that I just took for granted as like a thing. It's in Canada my entire life in every city I've ever lived in. You're like, guys, this is how bad it's gotten. I'm like,
well, you get $100 to $200 fine for having your trash can not on the right side.
$500 speeding tickets, $200 parking tickets. Yeah, there's all kinds of bylaw.
No, we have that too in the Netherlands. It's like I said, every time I keep
as a Texan, this hurts my head.
Yeah, Huck, remember when I told you this before? Like every time Americans bitch about how bad it's gotten, and I'm like, dude, that's been Canada for the last 20 years.
Well, that's what I think when I hear you bitching about
Canada. Good, because I don't want to live in either of those places.
Yeah, well, I don't either now. I didn't know there was an option.
Yeah, we even go further than that. You're only allowed to have Christmas lights up between certain dates.
Oh, we don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah.
That's brutal.
What the heck?
Who
That's like the most Karen-esque. Like, it's not women, it's Karens that run California now. It's the most Karen-esque law I've ever heard in my life.
Why? A lot of local ordinances are really rough that way. Yeah.
Why would you put a
time runs
fundraising? It's all fundraising. This is how local police enforces gets money.
Oh yeah, they've all adopted the RICO laws with civil asset forfeiture here. It all changed in. You guys understand what that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, they seize your assets if they suspect it was used in a crime, any kind of crime. Now you have to prove the asset was not. It's not the other way around. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until proven innocent when it comes to civil asset forfeiture under the RICO laws. And they get to keep. They get to keep whatever they auction off. I've been to police auctions here. It made me so freaking mad. I seen kids' toys, swing sets, stuff that they seized and were selling to keep the money. And the local police and whoever's involved in the arrest or the accusation get to keep the money. They send a certain amount into the federal government, and then they get to keep the rest. People aren't aware of that.
I'm sure that those
asset forfeiture. Look it up. It's rampant here.
I'm sure that all those laws are evenly applied across all groups in that state, and I'm sure that illegal migrants who commit crimes have their assets forfeited and taken by the state all the time. I'm sure that happens in California.
Absolutely.
I mean, even here.
So we got a guy for the $4.99. I know Red Hawk would hate me because I'm a J. But he's right about immigration. I don't want this and never voted for this. The country is falling.
Hey, I love the nation of Israel. I love the Jewish people so much that I think, and I have such respect for them, that I think they should be able to stand on their own 2 feet and rule their own nation as they see fit.
Oh, it's okay. We stream with Archwinger, so we have a force field around us. He keeps us safe.
Exactly. We got Arch. We have Arch. We have our diversity hire.
I don't know what level of Jew he's at. I don't know if he's like demonic space alien Jew or is he like the lizard?
I know he has contacts with the space laser. That's all I know.
No, he's the one that controls the weather.
All right, Stripper with the $10 Canadian. Happiness is a waste of time. It is a feeling that comes and goes. Fulfillment is better. In the last few generations, there's been a bait and switch for women to make them think they need happiness. And they're not getting any of it, of whatever they think happiness is.
Perfect mental state, as Cappy called it.
All right.
That's a great term.
You and Reyes, member for 3 months. What do you guys think about Myron's take about how women shouldn't be able to vote? All right, I'm going to stop you there. Shouldn't is not.
I don't think Myron should be allowed to vote either.
Shouldn't is not something we do here. It's literally, it's an abstraction, right? Women will never give up the right to vote, right?
Myron doesn't believe that shit anyway. He just said it because that's an MRA talking point from like the 90s. And he's just running through the cycle of all the MRA talking points to get engagement. Myron cares about Myron. If anything, that's the best lesson from Myron. Say what you got to say to get them super chats. That's what you should be doing. Get that bag.
You know, I think he can earn those. I think he can earn those super chats just as fine from Sudan.
So don't ever use the word should when it comes to thinking about things. Define what is and go with there. Women will always be able to vote and realize that it'll never get taken away. And the first people to fight for women's ability to vote will be men, and they will fight really hard. They will fight really, really hard. So
it was men that gave women the right to vote in the first place. It's not like women, marched on Washington and staged a coup, to get themselves the right to vote.
Membership. All right, guys. So I think we've beat up this topic. It's not the greatest topic, but it's just something that I see a lot of people on the timeline. They just don't understand that. Hey, it's not about morality. It's about women are watching out for themselves. So how about we just do it ourselves in our own personal life? Apply this in your own life. Like, hey, vote to go to the gym. Vote to become your mental point of origin. Vote to dress well for yourself. Make money for yourself. And if someone wants to come along for the ride, then, they're either on your program or they're not. So let's go around the horn and announcements, books, and all that stuff. I know Thor has a lot of announcements. Huh?
You got one more super chat just coming in.
Yep. Oh crap. PI with the $4.99. Thank you, sir. Watch OGC Geez Boyo. I want Trump to win, but I don't. Oh my God, dude. I want Trump
to get kicked out of this great country.
I'm a heritage American. Out of this great country. I'm a heritage American, even though I am a J. I serve.
You're not helping your case.
Yeah, dude, are you drunk
right now, bro? You got to use proper. I'm brown too, so you have to use really good grammar, else I won't be able to understand it. Whatever. Okay, so several of you guys have big announcements. I know Thor has a couple big announcements. So we'll start with Jack. What do you got going on? Final thoughts. Blah blah blah.
Okay, final thoughts. Yes, all politics are gendered. Look at the playing field. How does it work for you? Should is a miserable strategy. Change everything that is should into could, and you will be fine. New Substack coming up tomorrow. Read last one Substack through the link in the chat. It's about women stepping on their own clit. We've been talking about a lot of guys talking way too much, but I've been on dates where I would just wish she didn't say that. So it's an article about that. Please go check that out. And that's it from me.
All right, Hawk. I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot of coverage to go through now.
Yeah, I've been busy this week. I was raising money for the hurricane relief down in North Carolina. Raised around 3.5K over the last couple of days. So, but the rest of my work, check out the OGC. Pony Express Radio is on Thursdays. We got Substacks coming out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 30 days left for election season. Get out to vote. Sign up for protectthevote.com if you're in a swing state. So that's all I got.
All right, Thor. I know you got the guys are dropping books.
Yeah, I'm gonna if I can. I wanted to add what was just released on Fox 40 on the internet. There is a web page, and let me see if I can get this shared right now. I don't think I can. That would have to be you. But
okay. Adding to the stage.
What we've done, and every man on Rule Zero is invited as well, is that based on the 7 skills that were outlined in my original book, we've asked each author or man to write an essay from 10 to 100 pages and include that in the skills of a masculine excellence. Basically, their experience and their prescriptions on why masculinity is so important to them. You can see some of the books. This is the one that's by Paul. We have that one. It looks like Wraith Detour released 2 books on it, and we got AJ coming up with a book. Here is Wraith Detour talking about frame. Very good journaling guy. It talks about frame and how to use that. But this is what was just released yesterday. And essentially, this article right here talks about how this series is an excellent prescription and kind of a better model than Warren Farrell's, Dr. Warren Farrell's The Boy Crisis, which identifies the problem, but his solutions are all based around weakness and emotionality and doesn't really address conventional masculinity much at all. These books all have their references. They have the links in them, all available on Amazon. So right now there's 3. I would look forward over the next 13 months to many familiar faces producing a book in the series of masculine, the skills of a masculine presence. And I think that's a fun thing to do. So hopefully you guys can take a look at that. I posted some links into the chat and go out there and enjoy. Some of them are available on audio. Some of them are not. Most are available on Kindle. If you're all signed up, you already have access. So as they come out, I believe AJ Matthews, who's sometimes on the Dragon, he's one of the hosts on the Dragon Ship. He will publish within a week. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. And I don't want to say too much about the other guys. They're committed. But if something comes up and they don't want to do it, that's fine too, or they have to delay it. Like I said, you're going to see this over the course of 13 months. So we got lots of time. And Ryan, you're invited too.
Sweet.
So,
all right. Well, thanks. Well, thanks, Thor. Like, cooking up a lot of stuff. Thor's been pumping out content along with Dragon Ship guys. So, yeah, I'm like 15% done with my book. It's in the form of like just articles and all that stuff. But like moving on to Cappy.
Yeah.
What you got going on, Cappy? I finished another one of your books, and it made me depressed for like 2 hours. But then,
which one was that?
Back. Your latest one.
A World Without Men?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Usually that makes people happy at the end because they're like depressed, like, oh, this is really sad. Oh, but wait, now I know what to do. Anyway, no, I got nothing going on. I got
2 hours.
shit.
I snapped back. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Here, let's do this. Instead of something sad and depressing, why don't you guys buy my famous book, which is where I made all my money, Boris the Shitting Buffalo. It is a color picture book about Boris, a Russian immigrant buffalo, comes to the United States and tries to find his people or his buffalo. And he finds South Dakota and he goes on crazy adventures. And I think that'll put you in a better mood. So don't buy Enjoy the Decline. Don't buy A World Without Men. Go buy Boris the Shitting Buffalo. And I think you guys will all be in a better mood then.
Okay, I've never heard of that, but all right. I had no idea that was a thing. All right, and then Ryan, I know you got your channel, Orion. I've been trying to find it on YouTube to link it, but can't find it. I'll find it
at Orion 2 because somebody else took it. Out of all the names to take, like, some people are really clever. No, but honestly, for me, it's so right now I got the 2 final parts of Praxeology. Nick's doing the final edits on those now. The idea of people reading through these things, it's still kind of abstract, and it's showing people actually going through the process, a series of letters, series of field reports, that kind of thing. My true passion is right now, because I took on more than I can chew. I'm writing 4 books right now concurrently. I've got I'm writing fiction right now while Nick's finishing the editing. Those books will be out by Christmas in the spring. I'm taking Fuck Files, and instead of it being an explanation book with like the self-help, it's going to go full fiction. Working title of that's The Dog Walker. It made Nick laugh, which I think is a good thing.
Oh, okay.
Good deal.
Yeah, and right now it's like the difference between painting a painting and painting a house. Difference between nonfiction and fiction, I gotta admit. And then I'm doing the outline of another fiction book after that. So those will be coming out in the next year. I'm just swamped on that. Orion 2, I just finished Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan's been out for like a week or two. Rambo 3, the script's finished on that one, so I'm going to start editing and put together footage for that one. And hopefully get King of the Kickboxers out of DMCA hell. And then on top of that, yeah, there's always the gaming channel, Tekken for Pennies, all that stuff. But yeah, just follow me on Substack. I'll give you updates to all this stuff. I'm moving the podcast over there once they get that shit underway. It's going to be so great for all those people that have been supporting me over the years there and subscribe to my stuff to get them that extra piece of content. So yeah, and that's me. So just follow along. You'll have fun. Or not. Do what you do.
I feel so lazy right now. Jesus Christ. Everyone's like, I pump out like 3 articles per week. I'm like, man, I could be doing more. So guys, I will work as hard as these gentlemen to get more of my shitty opinions on dating. And I will do my best, and I'll make it with a nice little anime cover. So I'll do my best. So yeah. So thanks guys for your for coming along today. It's a slog of a topic. Like it's just, but I just wanted to get out the way because I think there's a couple lessons in there. For me, follow me on Substack. Subscribe to the channel. And shows 9 p.m. And I'll be on the Dragon ship in a couple minutes if you guys want to follow me there. So
Mish, with the last minute super chat.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Mish. Damn. I'm sorry, Mish. I almost forgot you. Mish with the $50. What is that?
Saudi
Ryan,
Arabian,
what is that?
I don't know.
Scoobies? No, it's the Saudi Arabian rupees or rubles or Renar. Renar?
It's dinar, right? Scoobies. All right. Yeah. Chad Arabian with the 50 scoops. This should cover the super chest that dude who kept saying he's a J over and over. Buy Tadashi something nice. Well, thank you, sir. I will buy Tadashi something nice. I'll get him some treats or something.
Well, Mish, they like to let us know that they're watching. So,
all right, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for your time, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Nick.